Hi guys, what is going on? Today I've got the XRL highlights from the Hungarian Grand Prix in X3, and I did specify at the end of the German highlights that this one was going to be a good one, and I can promise you it is, so you want to be watching till the end of the video. I actually did more practice this week in time trial. I knew I was capable of being in the 16s, but I just couldn't get a lap together, so going into the qualifying session I knew I had something in me. But first lap, I completely messed up the middle sector and we end up crossing the line as a 19.4. I think I lost like 2 seconds in the middle sector alone. My second run in Q1, which was my final run, wasn't much better. I think I was only like 4 tenths up. My final sector wasn't too great. I think I lost like 4 tenths in it altogether. But I know a lot of people were struggling this weekend, especially with the curbs around 6 and 7. It was literally like a bingo call at one point. I was trying to get a full house. We were having some good fun in the party, me and Classic were having a joke about it. But that second lap was just enough to get me into Q2. I was 12th overall. I knew there was a lot more pace to go, but I knew it would be harder to get through to Q3 than it was to Q2, so I knew I had to be on it. And my first run of Q2, I was really pushing, as you can tell by this lovely back end slide there. It did actually cost me quite a lot, and my first lap was abysmal. I was in the 20s. I was just all over the place. So going into my second lap of Q2, I knew this one had to be good because I was kind of running low on time with where I decided to go out. It was a good start to the lap, and then again lost the back end at turn 6. Managed to recover. Cost me a couple of tenths, maybe even half a second, but over the course of the lap I managed to gain like 2 seconds on my previous. So I knew I could have been in the 17s just on this session alone, but it's another 18.6, which wasn't too bad. So on 10th at the end of the session, and then Kenzie with a lovely track extend ends up going 9th. Can't really complain about that though. And then Stumpy out of absolute nowhere goes 2nd, even though he was complaining all weekend he just had no pace at all. He must have been sandbagging more than Mercedes were in testing. But overall, P12 wasn't bad. I knew I probably had more pace in me to get into Q3, but it is what it is. Fresh tyre choice, I guess, going into the race. And then here's Q3. Congrats to Ratcats, who got pole position. The Ferrari's 2nd and 3rd. Classic with a 7th, which I think he'll be happy with. And then here's me like, oh, I've got fresh tyre choice ready for the race, and it rains yet again. 6th race in a row. Like, we've literally had rain since France. It's insane. Like, we must be cursed. But it's a simple strategy. Full wets all the way through, one stop. But here we are then, counting down the lights. We got 5 of them, and away we go. And it was a pretty decent start. It was better than last week's. I got the jump on either car aside me. I'm up into P11 and then quickly P10 by getting past Retro, and then I had a lot of space in front of me, so I braked nice and late, and my plan was just to go all the way around the outside again like I did in Germany, and running wide slightly, but at least I missed the collision that might have happened on turn 1. Retro got back past me, and then coming down into turn 3, Kenzie's a little late on the brakes trying to outdrag Liam, ends up clashing with me Mixco, and then from there I just carved my way through the collision. You know, a bit of cat-like reflexes, and I'm up into P7 straight away. Can't really complain with that one. And here's Remitko's POV, lovely clout from behind by Kenzie, and he's just spun round. Car ends up clashing into him, which I wasn't really sure why at first, but after looking back, it turns out that he got clouted too. So that brought out the VSC, and I still don't understand why people seem to go incredibly slow during the safety cars. I mentioned it in my last video, and again here, I had to take avoiding action. Like, I don't really get why people do this, and it does need looking at, because it does seem like every race we just end up doing the same thing over and over again, and I don't really understand why. But on to lap 2, and we're in the middle sector, and I think it was Jimmo that was holding everyone up. He was really struggling. I think everyone was kind of struggling with the weather. Liam dropped it coming out of that corner, and we end up just overtaking him. It was an easy overtake up into P6. But at this point I was starting to fall back, but Jimmo actually runs wide, and loses quite a lot of time, loses positions. He's down into P5. I'm still in P6, but I've got Retro all over my gearbox. And then I'm looking for a way to get past Jimmo. I brake late and run wide, and Retro just follows me. He must have just used me as a braking marker, which really isn't a good thing to do because I'm all over the place. And Jimmo actually loses it again onto the inside corner. I try and run around the outside. It doesn't quite work, and that just leaves me vulnerable to Retro. I should have probably backed out, but I wanted to try and get as much power out as possible because I knew that I'd be vulnerable to Retro. I lost the position, and Jimmo runs wide yet again. And I try to get back on Retro, and Jimmo spins again and ends up tagging my rear end and spins completely. So he's having a shocker. Retro again starts to lose the back end. I'm still feeling kind of confident that I can re-overtake him, but at this stage Classic is all over my gearbox at this point. I did ask him if he felt like he could have gone quicker, and he did agree with me that he did feel like he could go faster and chase Retro down, so I did let him past. I don't want to hold him up. We're in for the long haul and the team race here, and I'm not prepared to cost us points really as a team. But going on to lap 5, Classic was struggling again, being the lead car. It must have been just a lead car thing, both of us were struggling. Jimmo's Ghost there, he ended up leaving and was just parked on the apex, which wasn't ideal. Going on to lap 6 then, and Classic is struggling as a lead car and didn't want to be the lead car anymore. I didn't really know that at first, so I was kind of backing out and he was backing out as well, and it slowed us both down a little bit there, but in the end I decided to get back past and be the lead car again. I was more comfortable being ahead at this stage in the race. But going on to lap 9, we finally kind of set into a rhythm. We had some good pace going, and then out of the blue a safety car happens, and we were kind of wondering, oh, what had gone on. But as I look at the minimap, I realise, hold up, there's 2 cars parked between turn 4 and 5, and turns out it was the race leader. It was the Mercedes Ratcats. He was on pole, was leading the race all the way through, and he's managed to crash out. So I managed to get his POV of the incident, and coming out of turn 4, his teammate of all people actually spun at turn 4, and as he comes back onto the track, he was in the middle of the track. Now, you know, blue flags and all that, he didn't really know which way to go. He didn't really know which way Rats was going to overtake him, and it was just kind of a 2 into 1. Both picked the left hand side, and it was just an unfortunate collision. But that's the leader out of the race. And at this point we were questioning whether to actually pit. Classic actually pits straight away, but I was trying to work out the maths because I knew my tyre wear was worse than his, and I was trying to work it out, but I was having a lot of trouble actually working it out because I was so focused on keeping it on the track and making sure I didn't spin on the safety car, because that would be the worst thing I could possibly have done. But when getting to the final couple of corners, when I hadn't actually catched the train up, and yes, I made a mess of the final corner again. I can't seem to get a pit lane right at all, but realising that I had enough time to pit, I did so. And at this stage I'm just hoping that I didn't actually lose too much time. Like, I know Classic got past me, but that was because my in-lap was a lot slower. I was hoping I made it out in front of Jeb, and I was really flooring it on the pit exit to make sure I was ahead of him. But little did I know, he actually lifted off, and the fastest cargo almost went into the back of him. He was claiming a brake check, but I mean, it's a safety car, and Jeb was probably lifting off, so he didn't get an illegal overtake on me coming out of the pits. So I think Cargo just needed to be a bit more aware. He was probably looking at his racing line and being a bit tunnel visioned on where to actually brake, so you can't really blame that on anyone else really. So I'm putting that one down to racing line. Don't use racing line, it clearly screws you over. But as the safety car restarts, I actually had to check whether people in front of us were pitted or not, and turns out we were actually second and third in comparison to who else had stopped. The only person who was stopped in front of us was Snake, so we were looking good. Classic tries to get past Patriot there, even slightly wide, but ended up getting a better exit. So we were really looking forward to seeing how this race turned out. You know, we just needed to keep with the runners in front of us, and then when they pitted, we just had to kind of hold them up if we weren't going to pit again, and we were in a good shape for some good points here. But Jimmo's Ghost again causing some issues. Patriot ends up getting clashed from behind. You know, Jimmo's a lap car at that point, and we both ended up getting past him. Bit unfortunate circumstance, but it is what it is. And then on lap 15, Damien runs slightly wide, we both get past him, and me and Classic were very much on the same pace at this point now. We were literally just running consistently together, trying not to lose too much time to the front runners, and we were doing quite a decent job at it too. And as Stumpy heads for the pits, that's another position, that puts us up to P5 and 6. And now coming to the end of lap 17, everyone else had pitted, the 3 cars in front of us. The Red Bulls actually double stacked, which was quite successful for them, and I was really hoping that I would make it past them all, and in fact we did. So now we're sitting second and third, only Snake was in front of us, so again, we were looking in good position. We still had half the race to go, but we knew that if we were going to race to the end on these tyres, that we had track position at least. But I actually made the fatal error of saying to Classic, look, I'll just play rear gunner for you, as long as one of us gets on the podium, that's a success. But in me doing so, I was very much looking behind us instead of front of us, so Classic did end up pulling away from me, and I was so focused on behind. But as you can see from that lap, I knew what to do. I just needed to not lose the position on the rest of the lap and then get a good exit on the final corner, and he can't really overtake me. So I knew going into it what I had to do to keep them behind me. But literally, as I say that, the following lap, I made a complete hash of the final corner, and that is Liam side by side with me going along the straight, and it was kind of last of the late breakers. I was mainly aiming for like a cutback, didn't quite work out, turned in slightly early and just compromised my exit. So there goes my podium, but I did hold him up a little bit for Classic, so it could have been worse. And then again, following lap, third to last corner, I made a complete mess of it, and that's retro through, so now I'm down to P5 again. So coming to the end of lap 24, I'd lost just all pace in the car. I was having a right struggle. I've got Larvinator all over me, and this is where it gets interesting because Jeb just appears in front of me. I wasn't too sure why at first, but that completely threw me off. And Larvinator does get past me, but I knew I had the pace and the straight line speed to get back past him, so I do so. And then, I don't know, I braked really early, and he tries to go around the outside, bit on the grass, but it's fair, not all 4 off the track. And then, that happens. A bit of a 2 into 1, I would say. I couldn't actually get his POV, it wouldn't somehow work, but he was on the very edge of the track, and his wheel was kind of turning in a little bit towards me, but I was drifting out, and I thought I'd left him just enough space, but apparently not. So it was an unfortunate one, and I can only apologise for the actual contact. But then a safety car, and I wondered why this was a safety car, and it was only going back when I was doing the steward's review, as I'm a steward, and some of these clips were insane. So this is Jeb's POV. This is why he ended up spawning just randomly in front of me at the final corner on lap 23. Spawn of Satan is what we called it. You know, just constantly glitching backwards, falling through the map, going into neutral. It was some wacky shit, and he just ended up getting disqualified after all that. And here's why the safety car came out. What a crash is all I can say. It's the craziest incident I have seen in this league so far of me being in here. It was incredible. But that was really just the half of it. And actually, can you see? I actually did the pit entry right for once. I was so proud of myself. But both me and Classic decided to pit. We thought it was a good chance. 10 laps to go. We would have ended up 5th and 6th for the restart. Who didn't pit in front of us would be on older tyres, and we had the chance to get the jump back onto the podium. But you know, as it happens, Jeb wasn't the only thing to be glitching about. So was the safety car. So the front runners had no clue of what was going on. But if you think that was the only thing that the safety car had in store for our race leaders, well, you were wrong. That incident meant that first and second were out of the race. and plenty more with wing damage, and that ended up me and Classic were back into second and third. We'd gone from 13 runners to 8, but you know, the show must go on, and so does the race. And as we finish the safety car restart, the safety car just appears on track again, nearly takes me out. I don't know how I managed to escape that one. But as we go into turn 1, not a lot happened. I had a cheeky look at Classic, but nothing really was on. And for the rest of this lap and the next lap, not a lot really happened until the start of lap 33, when I'm coming down to turn 1 from the main straight, and Classic says the safety car has taken out the leader again, and I'm like, for God's sake, like, why is the safety car still on the track? It is completely just blowing my mind that this is still happening. But you know, I'll take it. It's first and third at the minute for Team Toro Rosso, and Liam, with his wing damage, is really struggling for pace now. So coming out of turn 3, I'm just completely faster, and I just floor it side by side. Going up to turn 5 and 6, I back out, you know, because there's no point in seeing that. He then runs wide, safety car glitching still all over the track, but into P2, and I'll take it. But here we are then, it's the final corner on the final lap. Classic wins the race to take his first race win in the league. I think it might be his first podium, but as I come out the final corner, I finish second, which is my first podium, and at this point, I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. We kind of knew that this race was going to be under review anyway, based off of the fact that there was glitches that couldn't be solved. I mean, there's 8 runners left, and one of them's not even in the game. But did that stop us having a good laugh in the Discord at the time? Oh no, we were posting GIFs, singing songs, pretending that we were, you know, Vettel, ragazzi and all that, and everyone thought it was hilarious, although people were still really annoyed at the fact that they've just been costed out of points. Did we care? Absolutely not. So here are the unofficial race classifications. We obviously 1-2 for Toro Rosso, 3-4 for Red Bull. Helmut Marko's gonna be happy with this one, I tell you. But all good things must come to an end, and after the admins deciding on what to do with the race, they decided that the race classification will go back to lap 24, just before kind of all this glitching and business, and just before the second safety car, which meant that we finished 2nd and 5th. Now, you know, it does mean that I lose my first podium, which I am gutted about, but it was the right decision to do. It was a bit unfair on the other drivers like Snake and Retro Rixie that, you know, just drove better races, but got shafted by the safety car. So, you know, that is fair enough for them. But, you know, 2nd and 5th is still a good result at the end of the day. A lovely chunk of points for the Toro Rosso team. Congrats to Classic, who did get the podium today. You know, he just drove a better strategy than me. Otherwise, I do feel like that could have been me, but, you know, it is what it is. The next race is the Belgian Grand Prix round Spa-Francorchamps, and we have already done this race, and it was a decent race, to be honest. It does have some good highlights in, so be prepared to see that in the next couple of days. And I'm also trying to get a Rainbow Six video out, although I'm awful at PC, so bear with me on that one. But besides that, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.